Welcome to English Simple Hub. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're not just, analyzing English. We're going to dissect the strategy for a Band 9 score in the IELTS speaking test.
Exactly. This deep dive is really for you, the learner. We're taking what seems like a simple Part 1 topic, texting, and we're going to peel back the layers.
Yeah, reveal the specific linguistic moves, the vocabulary, the phrasing, all the tricks that separate, say, a good score from a truly exceptional one.
Right. It's about showing the examiner you can move beyond just simple answers. You have to demonstrate a wide range of vocabulary, what they call your lexical resource.
And it's not just the words, right? It's also the sentence structure,
Yeah.
grammatical range, and accuracy. That's the other big piece of the puzzle.
Precisely. The goal is to hear you manipulate language. You need to link ideas, sometimes formally, sometimes informally, but always with clarity. So let's just jump right in with the first question from our source material.
Okay, let's do it. Question 1 is, do you like texting? The sources are pretty clear that a high-scoring answer needs to signal proficiency from the very first word. So what's the one term everyone should have ready for this?
It has to be convenience, without a doubt.
Convenience, the noun.
The noun convenience and also the adjective convenient. They're absolutely vital here. Texting, its whole purpose is about ease and efficiency.
So using those words allows you to express that without just saying, it's easy.
Exactly. You start your response by framing the conversation around convenience, and you've already made a strong impression. You sound more academic, more analytical.
I see that. So instead of, yes, I like it, you start with its core function. And the high-scoring response we looked at does exactly that. It says they don't particularly like texting, but they pivot immediately to its convenience.
Right. And that pivot leads to some really dynamic language.
This is the part I love, the phrase to fire off a text.
That phrase is a gold star. It really is. To fire off a text is an informal phrasal verb, yes, but it's so dynamic.
What does it signal to the examiner?
It means sending something super quickly, almost without thinking. But more importantly, it shows you understand collocation. You know how words naturally fit together.
So send a text is functional, but fire off a text is fluent.
That's the perfect way to put it. It demonstrates a native-like feel for the language. It just has more energy.
And it keeps going. The speaker then calls texting quicker than any other means of communication.
Another great choice. You're swapping out a simple word like method for something a bit more formal, a bit more appropriate for the test environment.
So it's about finding that balance, which brings us to the next bit, where the language dips back into being informal. They say, I'm not a pro-texter.
And that's just fantastic. It shows range.
It's clever. Using that pro prefix is such an efficient way to say, I'm not an expert at this. It sounds natural, almost witty.
And it connects perfectly to their next point, which is about avoiding text talk.
Right. Things like LOL.
We all know what it means, but the point here is being able to explain that you know the difference. You can distinguish between standard English and this abbreviated, specialized slang.
It proves you can shift your register. You can move between different styles of speaking.
Exactly.
So just to recap that one answer, we've got an academic noun, convenience, a dynamic phrasal verb, fire off a text, a formal collocation, means of communication, and then some really smart informal language like pro-texter.
All of that depth, that density of high-scoring markers in a single short response. That's the Band 9 blueprint in action.
It really is. Okay, so we've covered vocabulary range. Let's look at grammatical complexity now. How do you bring that into a simple Part 1 question?
Well, question 2 is a perfect example. It asks, do you prefer sending or receiving text messages?
Right, and the immediate temptation is to say, I prefer sending.
And that's fine, but a better way, a more sophisticated way, is to play with the word family. Examiners love this.
So instead of the verb prefer,
you use the noun. The response is, I don't really have a preference. See, you're using the construction to have a preference. It shows you can manipulate the word, change its form.
That's such a subtle shift, but it really does sound more advanced. It signals flexibility.
It does. And then the response builds on that by using a formal linker to connect two different ideas. The word however.
Okay, but how do you use a word like however in speaking without it sounding like you're reading an essay?
That's the crucial point. It's not about the punctuation. Forget semicolons. It's all about your intonation and your pausing.
So you slow down.
You slow down, you pause very clearly before you say it, and then you use the word to signal a pivot. I don't have a preference. Pause. However, pause. if I had to choose. That delivery is what tells the examiner you're building a complex sentence.
That makes so much sense. It's about the rhythm of your speech showing the grammatical structure.
Yes. Now, here's where the answer gets really impressive. It introduces a word we normally see in, writing task 2. The word is the onus.
The onus. That is a high-level word. What does it mean exactly?
It means the duty, the burden, the responsibility. The speaker says that when you get a text, the onus is on you to reply.
Wow. Using that in a conversation about texting is, well, it's a power move.
It's a huge power move. And here's why it's so valuable. It's incredibly versatile.
Tell us more, because if you can master this word, you can probably use it all over the test.
Absolutely. Think about a writing task 2 prompt on, say, environmental protection. Should the government be responsible or individuals?
Okay.
You can frame your whole essay around that word. Is the onus on the state to create laws, or is the onus on the individual to change their habits?
I see. So it becomes a structural tool for your argument, not just a fancy vocabulary word.
Precisely. When you can transfer a word like that from a casual speaking topic to a formal essay, you are demonstrating complete mastery.
That's a fantastic takeaway. And there's one more thing in this answer, lexical resource. They say the onus is on you to reply, and then they say you can wait for the response.
Reply and response.
Perfect synonyms, used so naturally to avoid repeating the same word.
And that is a huge hallmark of a high band score. It shows you're not just searching for words, you have options. You're resourceful.
Okay, so in that one answer, we've got word families, advanced grammar with linking, and high-level academic vocabulary. It's incredibly dense.
It is. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about idiomatic language. This is where you can really show your fluency.
All right, question 3. Have you ever received a confusing text message? The answer starts off strong. Instead of just regularly, they say.
Oh yeah, on a regular basis.
It's a small change, but it feels a bit more formal, a bit more structured.
It's a great replacement for a simple adverb. It just flows better and adds a touch of complexity.
And the reason for the confusing messages, a parent who often clicks send before they're done typing.
I love that. To click send, it's such a specific, modern, technological collocation. It shows you have the language to talk about the world we actually live in.
For sure. And then comes the pure idiom. The speaker says, honestly, sometimes I don't have a clue what she is talking about.
A perfect, natural idiom for spoken English.
But here's the question. How does an examiner hear, I don't have a clue, and know it's a sign of fluency and not just, a limited vocabulary?
That's a brilliant question. The key is the context. It's about everything else you've said around that idiom.
So because this speaker has already used words like convenience and onus.
Exactly. Because they've demonstrated that formal range, the examiner understands that I don't have a clue is a conscious choice. You're choosing to be informal to add color and naturalness. It's not because you don't have other options.
So the formal language validates the informal language.
That's it. That's the distinction. And the final piece of vocabulary in this answer is also great. The reason for the messy text is because the sender isn't very tech-savvy.
Tech-savvy, another fantastic modern word. It just means knowing a lot about technology.
And it's so useful. You can use it in speaking, in writing, anytime you're talking about technology, education, even generational differences. It's a high-value word.
Okay, so that answer gave us a strong synonym with, on a regular basis, a tech collocation with click send, a natural idiom, I don't have a clue, and a modern adjective, tech-savvy. That's a lot to pack in.
And that's the point. It's about deploying these things efficiently in a very short amount of time.
Right. So let's move to our final question. This one seems to bring everything together. Question 4. In what circumstances is making a phone call better than sending a text message?
And this question brings us right back to the word family we talked about earlier.
So not prefer or preference, but
the adjective, preferable. The speaker says a call is preferable when time is of the essence, and this opens the door to all the language we need for urgency.
Okay, so what are the key phrases for when you're in a hurry?
The main one is the prepositional phrase, when you're in a rush. It's just so much more natural than saying when you are hurried or something clunky like that.
Right. And the answer gives a great example, like when you need to get hold of someone quickly.
To get hold of someone, an absolutely essential phrasal verb. It means to get in touch with them, usually by phone. It's far better than just saying to contact someone.
Much more fluent. And then there's the one for information transfer, to pass on information.
Correct. You need to tell someone about a change of plans or forward some details. These functional phrases are really the glue that holds fluent speech together.
And it all ends with a simple, elegant collocation to make a quick call.
It's simple, but it's perfect. So much better than forcing an adverb in there, like to call quickly, make a quick call, is just what people say.
And this final answer brings us full circle on the word family strategy. We started with the verb prefer, then the noun preference, and ended with the adjective preferable.
That's it. Showing that you can move across those grammatical forms, that's what locks in a top school for lexical resource.
So now let's pull it all together. The blueprint for the learner. Because it's not just a shopping list of words, is it? It's about how they all work together.
Absolutely not. A Band 9 performance is about managing these different layers of language at the same time. You have to show you have the control to be formal, to use a word like the onus, or control your intonation for however.
But at the same time,
You have to be confident enough to be informal where it's appropriate, to drop in and I don't have a clue or fire off a text and have it sound completely natural.
it's about weaving that high-level, almost academic language with natural, fluent, idiomatic speech.
Exactly. You take a simple topic like texting and you turn it into a showcase of your linguistic dexterity.
And that dexterity proves you're not just a functional speaker of English. You are a confident manipulator of the language.
And that right there is the definition of mastering this test.
So this deep dive has really laid out the specific language you need. It's about taking a simple topic and making it sound complex, which is the whole game here. Using words like convenience, onus, and tech-savvy is how you get there.
So we'll leave you with a final thought, a final task. Now that you have this blueprint, how many of these specific words and structures can you apply to another Part 1 topic?
Like what?
Like social media or the internet. If you get asked about that, could you use convenience? Could you talk about whether the onus is on platforms or users? Could you describe someone as tech-savvy? Try to use 3 new things you learned today.
That is your homework. Thank you so much for joining us for this breakdown of the IELTS Speaking Blueprint. If you found this useful, please be sure to subscribe to the channel for more IELTS podcast episodes and deep dives just like this one.